Dear friends, and good morning. I'm very to open with you a new week today. Good morning, Yanis. I'm very happy to see you here. I hope you have a nice weekend and you're celebrating the beautiful holiday. Here I would like to start reading with you one verse from Song of Songs, chapter 5, verse 13, and then see how Elia Levitas reads this verse. First we shall read this verse and then we shall move to the book. Here just expose, this is our board today. This is the text from Song of Songs and then Exodus. This is a painting from the Middle Ages. This is a page that we shall read from Elia Levitas. He was teaching cardinals Hebrew and mystic Hebrew in the Middle Ages, in the times of the Renaissance in Italy. So we shall read this passage here in Hebrew and in English. We shall look into this beautiful painting later and look at this beautiful tree called acacia. So let's start, and I hope that Yanis, you can join us here in the class. I hope you can hear us and you can log in to class and we could have a little discussion if you wish. I hope you get a good sound coming from us and you can hear us well. Song of Songs, chapter 5, verse 13. His cheeks are as a bed of spices, as banks of sweet herbs. His lips are as lilies dropping with flowing milk. And I shall read the Hebrew. לחייו כערוגת הבושם, מגדלות מרקחים, שפתותיו שושנים, נוטפות מור עובר. When we read this verse in English, usually we think that those love relations are between husband and wife or Romeo and Juliet, but this is a description of the love that human has to the divinity. So let's see how Elia Levitas reads those words. His cheeks are as bed of spices. What does it mean? What does it mean that the divinity or the divine spirit has this image of, or allegory that they have, or divinity has cheeks as the bed of spices? Let's see how Elia reads those verses. Here we are reading in his book. This is page 210. Here on the right we have the Hebrew text, and on the left there is a translation to English. This German publication house made let's say a mission. They took upon themselves mission to print ancient books. They opened their printing house in 2008 and they closed it at 216. They managed to bring to print very, very, very ancient books. And our friend Kevin, he shared with me the book and the text that he bought, and I was deeply impressed. And I would like to thank Kevin for exposing me to this beautiful literature, because it seems that the sources of Elia Levitas are very, very ancient, because Elia Levitas lived between, let's say, 1469 until 50. He lived 80 years, from 1469 until 1540 something, 80 years. And in his time, the Zohar was not yet printed. So we don't know if he had an access to the Zohar, but his sources, according to what he writes here in the text, are far more ancient. And his sources are tracking down Ezra and Nehemiah. It is about 2000 years. He lived in, let's say, the 15th or like 1500 Christian era. He lived, and he tracks down until 500 Ezra times before Christian era. So he's covering in his times already 2000 years of understanding the scriptures. It's very interesting. So let's look into the text. Here I shall look into the Hebrew and then I'll move into the English. אך מצאתי בתרגום שיר השירים. Elia already has a text of Song of Songs, very ancient text, which is translated to Aramaic, the common language in the time of Ezra and Nehemiah, the times of Socrates, 5th century before Christian era. So he says here, אך מצאתי בתרגום שיר השירים, though I found, but I found in the translation. Whenever he says translation, targum, translation, in Hebrew he means Aramaic, because the first is from Hebrew to Aramaic. So I found in the translation of Song of Songs, in the verse, his cheeks is like the bed of spices. Now he opens 2 boards of stones. Please pay attention to the movement from the 2 cheeks of, so to speak, the lover, because this is how people read the verse. It's the 2 cheeks of the beloved one, is the 2 cheeks of human. Please pay attention to the movement. His cheeks is like, hello Venus, hello. His cheeks like a bed of spices. We have 2 cheeks, and please pay attention to the movement. 2 boards of stone he gave to his people, which are written in 10 themes. Suddenly the 2 cheeks are becoming, like in a magical touch, in a magic wand, the 2 cheeks are becoming 2 boards of stone or tablets of stones that he gave to his people, which are written in 10 themes or method. So if we pay attention to the movement is between 2 cheeks. 2 cheeks is allegory, is an allegory to the 2 boards or the 2 tablets of stone in which the Holy Blessed He wrote his commandment. So imagine 2 cheeks, they are like 2 boards or 2 tablets of stone on which in each cheek or each tablet there are commandments, and also the book of law. And also about the method, there is a book by the name, and the sages, blessed in memory, are used to read those lines, which is called method. Now let's move into the English because it is better translated. I just had to move to read from Hebrew and translate it immediately to English that we shall see the movement between cheeks and two tablets of stone in which he gave the Torah or the commandments, or we could say the virtue to his people. Let's see. Because once there is a translation to English, they change the structure of the verses, of the lines, to adapt it to English. Here. Here we start with the I, with a comment of Elia. I refers to Elia who writes the book. I, however, find that Halkidi, he means Aramaic, the translation to Aramaic, Halkidi. So, I, however, find that Halkidi, meaning the translation of the Halkidi to Aramaic of Song of Songs, paragraphs, his cheeks are like beds of balsam by the two tablets of stone which he gave to his people were written in 10 rows. Again, the two tablets of stones were written in 10 rows. Now we have in brackets Shittim. Shittim is also a tree, but also a method. I would like us to see, look at this tree here on the side. This tree is called in Hebrew Shita. 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 Acacia. Acacia. This is the name of the tree in English, Acacia Shita. Shita is not just a name of a tree, it means also a method. Shita, let's write it here. It means method or theme or system. Please pay attention. Shita can be both a tree, also a theme, a method, a system of law, systematic thinking. Again, systematic thinking. So let's move and see how Elia explained this verse. I, however, find that the Halkidi of the Song of Songs paraphrases, his cheeks are like beds of balsam by the two tablets of stone which he gave to his people were written in 10 rows. Shittin, like system. Shittin, 10 rows is like 10 system, or the system of 10. Please pay attention, because here we have a complete perception of how do we learn, how systematic thinking is working, resembling to the rows of the beds, Shittin, in the garden of balsam. Thus, also the Targum translation of Joseph noted it is in the book by register it on the lines Shittin, again, of the book Shita, when they say it is necessary to leave 4 empty lines between each book. Now he explains how systematic thinking is happening. So Shittin are not just rows or lines, because the tablets were written in 10 lines, so to speak, but also Shittin is method, theme, also a tree, also nonsense. This is why, in a way, this is what the Zohar says in this verse of Exodus, and they shall make an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits, ve'asu aron atzei shittim. The cabinet in which the boards of the Torah will be put is made in English in acacia wood. If we read the Bible in English, we think it is a botanical tree. But the sages of the Zohar teaches us to read the word shittim also as shtuyot, nonsense. So let's think, how can it be that the cabinet of the Torah, or the box in which the Torah, or the ark in which the Torah is put, the 10 Commandments, can be put in a box or in an ark of nonsense? Because if we read this verse innerly, this is what it means. Because the ark is not just an external ark of wood, it is the way we think. In the beginning, our thinking, let's say this is an ark in which, like a cabinet or something, in which the Torah is put inside. Yes. So what does it mean that the ark is made out of nonsense? If we look into this innerly, it means that the way we think in the beginning of thinking is just external and sometimes childish and nonsense. But this is only the shell. Nonsense, yes, from shtuyot. Shtuyot in Hebrew from shita is shtuyot. Shtuyot is nonsense. But what is inside is the real thing. Again, the boards or the 10 rows are inside. So this is why the ark in which the tablets are put is from, so to speak, atzei shittim, not just wood. Atzei, it's not just wood. Etz is a tree. Eitzah with hay. Eitzah is advice. So in a way the cabinet is made by nonsense advice. The external space in which the Torah is put, the light is put, is a nonsense advice, because we cannot approach the relation with divinity at once. First there is a shell, there's a box, and what we think in the beginning is like wrong. But this is how we start. But we start to walk And then we find the inner relation, which is in the box, but everything is just at the beginning is like artificial or nonsense. But inside of the nonsense, inside of the advice, which is nonsense, there's light, there is a relation to the divine. Also, there's one of the journeys or the places that Israel parked in the desert was Shittim. They also parked in a place called Shittim from nonsense. They started not taking seriously the relation to the inner. So please pay attention. This word shita is a singular feminine, can be both as a name of a tree, can be also a method, also a system. In Hebrew we say likro ben hashitim, to read between the lines, not just what is coming as letters, as sentences, as words, but between the lines. We say to read the subtext in English. In Hebrew we say likro ben hashitin, to read between the lines and try to see what is going in more inner levels of the text. This is it. This is what Elia tries to tell us, that in a way the chicks, again, why do we speak about chitin and nonsense and acacia wood or the cabinet in which the Torah is put? Because this is the allegory. Elia was reading the Halkedi or the Aramaic translation of the Bible from Hebrew to Halkedi or to Aramaic, and then he found there in this Halkedi translation, Aramaic translation, that the cheeks of the beloved one refers to the 2 tablets of stones in which the Torah was written. Now imagine when we look at person's face and cheeks, usually ladies, they powder their cheeks or put rose color. In Hebrew we say lechayim, lechayim. This is cheeks, lechayim. Lechayim, the word cheeks, hold the word chayim, life. So we can see, according to the appearance of a person, if he has rose cheeks or she has rose cheeks, is vital, energetic, vitality, loving, care, a person with a movement. So in a way, let's say the state or the mode of the cheeks can tell us a lot about person's health and relation to the spirit, because the spirit is being expressed in the cheeks. Lechayim, like lechaim, for life. For life. This is why the verse says the verse says his cheeks is like beds of spices. So the cheeks of the beloved one, the tendency for liveliness and vitality is like 2 boards, and here comes the allegory of stones in which the Torah was written. So we can in a way read somebody's cheeks, like if he has vitality. On each cheek there are, we could say, even 5 commandments together. We have 10, 2 cheeks, and this is how the Halkidi translation read, his cheek is like a bed of spices, because spices also, they give very good fragrance. It's like perfume, and from a person reads, like if he reads the Torah or the relation to the higher, which is documented in writing, a person can get a good sense of liveliness. He inspired from the writing, like he is like having like he's smelling a great smell. Like when we notice a great perfume, so we take in the smell, it evokes something very ancient, because the smell goes immediately from the nose, nostrils to, we could say, to the mind, to the head, to the mind. Unlike other senses, let's say the sense of taste, if we taste something, it goes with gravity to the digestion system and so, but the smell goes up in the nose through the nostrils to the mind, and the smell is lifting us always. And here there is a little painting which comes from Codex Manasseh. It's a German codex of people who could organize and finance, let's say, books. It was very expensive before the printing books to create books made by hand, written by hand, and was a drawing that was made by hand. So in this codex, and you can look and find this Codex Manasseh in the internet, on Wikipedia. They shared all the paintings that I have, and this is quite beautiful. Why did I choose this particular painting from all what we can find there? Is because we can see, like, the painter or the one who choose to decorate the book, he chose to make the cheeks of the beloved one. We see here red, also here red, and the cheeks are like the tablets in which the Torah was written. Inspires people. This is what Elia found in ancient translation of the Bible to Halkedon and or to Aramaic. If you have questions, this is a very good time to ask a question. If you have any, please feel free to ask. Atzei Shittim, Shita, here, Shita. Shita. Shittim, Atzei Shittim. From this wood they used to make the ark. But if we think about the name Shita allegorically, it is always that we start as a pre-thinking. We have this pre-thinking of something that it is like we think, it's external, but through the progress of walking towards what we think, we discover the inner connection. So Shita can be both as method, theme, or system, or systematic, but also can be nonsense. It has quite, let's say, wide range of how do we read the word Shita. Also, there is a space or place in the desert in which Israel parked called Shittim, and in this place called Shittim, they made nonsense. They were wrong. They made mistakes. Venus is writing, do you think Renaissance artists knew about acacia meaning? Example, Nicolas Boutin and his acacia mystery painting, and many others. According to, I don't know about it. This is a very great question, and I thank you for this very, very much. Thank you, Venus, for this beautiful question. We don't know what, but it seems to me that what I was reading about the life of Elia Levitas is that he was teaching both Christian cardinals and Nobel people from Italy, from Europe, Hebrew, mystical, they call it mystical, but ancient text with higher understanding. And I presume that they had a notion about this. I presume, according to what you just described. I don't know particularly the name Nicolas Puzin and his Acacia Mystery. This is the first time that I hear it, and thank you for that. I will research into it later. But in circles in which people could have access to the source, to the Hebrew source and the ancient understanding of the text, people share this with their friends, and there were beautiful friendships between people from, so to speak, various traditions: Hebrew, Italian, Germans and others, French, Spanish, and so people used to have very, very deep relations based on the relation to the text. Yes, and thank you for your question. If we look at this painting of the acacia tree, we see here many balls, yellow balls, like spheres, and we might think that this is the light. So this is the advice, the nonsense advice. We might think that it is there, but this is just the forward. This is only the gate to the real thing. It's not the real thing. It is shining, it is like gold, it is like the color of the sun, like the color of the morning, but it's not it. It's inside the cabinet, which is made by this tree, so it might be deceptive. It's not the acacia itself, but what is beyond the acacia. Please pay attention that the word acacia in English holds the word for cats, which is end, but also comes from kots. Kots is a thorn, and the acacia has thorns in it. If you find acacia in your first surrounding here, they are very much they're all around the place. Usually in March we can see them in full bloom, like we see in this picture, and sometimes they have thorns. So acacia, kots is the thorns, cats is the end. And sometimes when we think that we have come to an end of something, that we figure this out and we understand, no, behind it there's a real thing. So thank you for your question. Any other question? Also in this beautiful painting we can see that the lady is giving this person like a letter. She holds like a lamp in her lap, innocent lamp, and innocently she gives the letter, the communication, and softly to this person here. Very soft. Love relation. If you don't have any other questions at the moment, I would like to wish you a very good weekend, a beautiful holiday, and great week to come. Thank you for being with us today, and shalom shalom.